Good evening, bros.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hope you are all well and in sound health.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Before we proceed to chapter 3, I want to ask for you questions that might have arisen from the chapter 2, the video that I recorded yesterday, and I hope you have all watched it.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
There was a part where you said when you are doing the research, there's no need to quote yourself. You have to indicate that the researcher 2020. And you took time to explain that. But my question is, supposed to put
I can't hear you. Henry?
Yes, bro.
Your question was not understood.
Okay, I was saying.
Yeah.
Yesterday you were explaining that you can quote yourself and you can indicate in the literature review.
Yeah.
According to the researcher 2020.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now my question is, how are you going to indicate that in the references? Are you going to put your names, or you're going to put the researcher again 2020?
No. You don't need to do reference on that.
Okay.
Because it is from the findings that you got on chapter 4 that make you to go to chapter 2 and say the researcher 2020. But again, if someone comes to quote your own project, that's when the person now will include there, you know. But within your project, you just say researcher 2020, but on references, you don't need actually. Well, if there is a need, I don't know. I'm also open to learn from that point.
All right, bro.
Yeah. Kondwerani, question?
Yes, bro.
Question? Hope you have watched the video.
Now, honestly speaking, I started watching, but I did not grasp anything. So I need more time to watch it.
It's fine. I realized that some of you were having problems in accessing the Google Class. That's why I created a YouTube channel, and I sent you the link so that you can watch from there, and then you make things easier for you. But you can access from there, and then you have the video. No problem. Hopefully you watch, and then you give me the feedback on time.
That's where I watched it.
Yeah. Okay. So, Mushima.
Yeah.
Question?
Yeah, well, the question which I wanted to pose is what Henry also asked already. Based on this, you have quoted yourself, you know, but without the name. Just wrote a researcher 2020 and like. So my question was on the line of references. How is it going to look like?
Yeah. Was it answered already, right?
Yeah, you said there's no need to put in the reference.
Yeah, and there is no need to put the tau 2020, you know, you just put researcher. So we scholars understand that this is the person who did the research. Yeah. João?
Yes,
Sorry?
bro.
Yeah?
My question is, what will happen if you have chosen your topic and it was approved already by maybe your supervisor or by the school?
Yeah.
And on the course of the work, you realize that there is no material on the topic that you want to write. No one has ever written on that topic, but it is a problem in education that you want to address.
All right. So I know of two procedures that you can follow and mitigate this issue. One, they usually advise whatever topic you pick, try to find out whether there are literature reviews on that, whether there are sufficient literature review on that particular topic, even before you go to present it to the research panel. You find out before if there is sufficient enough literature review on that. And then two, if you failed to do that in the course of doing your project, and then you find that there is no sufficient data, you can easily talk to your supervisor, address the issue to your supervisor, and then your supervisor will help you in changing the topic that is appropriate or that might be conducive for the available literature that is out there. Was it answered?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, right. Okay, good. Let's move on. Today we are in chapter 3, which is entitled Research Design and Methodology. You know, others simply, we also have research design and methodology, and then simply research design. So what we have in common, these three projects, is introductory part, you know. At least we all agreed that we needed to introduce this chapter 3 and then say what we needed to do. For example, here Globe said that here is going to, it includes in this chapter 3, research design, target population, description of sample size, sampling technique, description of data collection instruments, validation, reliability, data collection procedure, data analysis techniques, and some ethical considerations, you know. Then if we go to a book, it would tell us that we have elements such as research design, target population, sampling technique, and sample size, research instruments, the validity of instruments, data collection procedure, data analysis technique, and presentation. And then if we go to that was Simon 2020, we have a book 2019. It would tell us that we have instruments used for data collection, validity and reliability of the instruments, research methods and procedures, and so on. Right. So the first part that we, for example, starting from a book, it came with a research design. No, in this research design, before I further present to you this research design, I want to tell you the importance of this chapter 3. This chapter 3 is going to be important to you, to your questionnaire. So if you do well this chapter 3, it will lead you to actually explain how you are going to collect the data, how you are going to design your questionnaires, how many questionnaires you are going to give, to distribute to your respondents, and your target population. And then the schools is also going to tell us the classes that you're going to work with. So everything that in regards to your questionnaire, from the moment that you're going to collect data, going to the field, coming back, analyzing, is going to be explained here in chapter 3. So this chapter 3 is actually very important. If you get it well, it will help you to be successful in your data collection. I hope I was clear into that. Right. So how do we do the research design? When you do that research design, you can start defining what research design is, and then you quote a lot of scholars, you quote a lot of them, and then at the end, you are going to say now that this design, whatever design that you have chosen, this design was used because of its advantages of exploring the current level disasters, for example, So let's try to see which, if for example, he came here and then he said this study made use of descriptive survey design, According to him, descriptive survey design fits for the study that he was doing, So there are a lot of designs out there, so you need to see which one fits, and it gives value to your study. So it is that. It is that. Good. And then we move on to this other one also. We have Ngulube 2018. He also did the same, trying to define what it is. And then let's see, according to let's see which design he chose. Yeah, he chose the quantitative methods, it's there. And then according to survey design, increase the scope, all those things. You actually have all the story given there. Right, when you go to this one here, Simon 2020, you also have here, he quoted your former principal, Gandebo, and other scholars, and then he later came to say that this study used the descriptive survey strategy to collect data on the influence of peer counseling. Descriptive survey strategy is useful in gathering information by interviewing or administering questions to a sample of students to obtain useful data. So if one of your questions was like, what is descriptive survey? I've already given you the definition according to Orodo 2009, that the descriptive survey is useful because you're going to give them your data, and then you want to collect information from them or administering questionnaires, Good. So we go to the second topic, which is target population. I think I was already I mentioned to you when we had our very first class that your target population needs to be very precise. What is your target population? So you need to define what it is. You have here the definition, then towards the end, you need to say, where is your target population? So the target population for this study were the students and teachers in public secondary schools, not just in Nairobi, but in the Goreti constituency. Nairobi is big, so you need to pick one count or sub-count, yeah? So from the total number of 45 secondary schools, you are going to find a lot of schools, but again, among all the secondary schools, you needed to see, are they all public? Are they all private? So according to my study, out of 45 secondary schools, I found 13 public secondary schools, which is my target population. Are secondary school students, yes, but not private, not public, but simply public. So private was out of the study, only public, I concentrated on public. And then for our study, we usually get 30% of that study, or of that target population, that is the schools, which gave me about like 3-4 schools, you know, but I worked with 3 schools. If you look at ABOK 2019, he also had the target population. He was here. He also did in Dagoret. As you can see, for him, he found 53 secondary schools. For me, I found 45. So, you know, and then according to him, 12 were public, but for me, 13 were public, you know. Good. These are some of the technical issues that you might also encounter. And then when we come to Ngulube 2018, you also have here this target female biology students in Form 3. So I just went straight to say, this is the one that I want. And Form 4, so not problem at all in public secondary schools, but it not mentioned here in the count. Right. So any questions so far?
Yeah, I want to know, this chapter is just dealing with the terminology that I used in research, not on the topic one is researching.
Yes, not on the topic actually.
Ah.
Yeah, it just deals on how actually you are going to collect that, to go to the field. So you need, that's how it explains here. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah, well done. So, and then we have description of sample size and sample technique. So the sample size, before you go to sample technique, you have the sample size, of which well, I'll suppose that we have, it doesn't have, let me see, sample size it doesn't have here, but let me go to other project here, and then we might find it. Okay, we have the sampling technique. You know, these are just stories that you're going to read. Like, for example, I was explaining on how am I going to select the 3 schools, yeah? Sampling technique, how am I going to select the 3 schools among the 13 schools that I found? So I got the 30% of that 13 schools that I found. So it gave me 3 public secondary schools there. And then I also explained, you know, you need to explain among these 3 schools. So how are you going to select these 3 schools? It is known that we have 13 public secondary schools, but again, how are you going among these 13? Due to the method, the systematic method, I got 30% of that, and it was like 3 schools, you know. And again, these 3 schools, how are you going to select them, you know? According to the researcher, Simon 2020, he said, where is it? Yeah, the researcher wrote the names of the 13 schools, separating them into 3. That is boys school, girls schools, and the mixed schools. So from which they were shuffled and then picked one from each category to represent the 30% from which the researcher wanted to work. I'll still explain once again. It's like, you know, you put the name of all the 13 secondary schools, public secondary schools, and then you group them. This one for boys, this one for girls, and this one mixed. And then you shuffle it. You put maybe in a box. It depends where you put. You shuffle the papers from each group, and then from each group now you pick one. So the papers that you pick, the papers, the schools that were selected, that of which you selected to go and then collect data from those schools. You might ask the question, is it possible all schools are accessible, for you to collect your data? Some schools are not just easy for you to collect your data. So into that, you can ask permission from your supervisor, and then you can go to any other schools. And at times we do what they call selecting, sampling by convenience. It's like, you just decide the schools that you want because you feel like that particular school or those schools, brothers have been going there. You have easy access to students, and then it will facilitate your study. So it's up to you, that's what they say, by convenience. So it's up to you. Good. And then we have sample technique. You also define, and then you also say something into that. And then from there, we go to sample size. That's where I actually want to explain this sample size. And I want you to pay attention into that. Let me see if Yabok also did that. Yeah. We also have his sample size here. Looks like in Ngulube. Let me see if he did the sample size. Seems he did not do. All right. But it's no problem. It seems it did not do. So would someone tell me if you can understand what is here in sample size? Just try, make an effort. Just look at the numbers, see what is here, and then try to say something on sample size.
Let me just say something.
Good.
Yeah, from what we are taught in geography, the Morim said when you are carrying out the sample, like what you have indicated here, you need to pick 30% of the total population.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so from what I'm seeing here, like you have indicated the Form 2 and the Form 4. I'm assuming that the numbers you have indicated, the Form 2 were 146. Then the Form 4 were 87. So maybe I think out of this, interpretation is that maybe out of this, out of 146, you interviewed or you gave questionnaire to 44 people. Am I right?
Continue, I'll then clarify. Assume you are that mwalimu.
Because total population is 146. So this one, the 30% will be 44. Now, out of which we get number of teachers number of teachers 4, then the school counselor 1, and at the end of the day, the total sample size will be 25. I'm not understanding now.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks very much. So these are the 3 schools that I picked, well, seems like our Google, okay. If it goes off, you already know the procedure. No, just give me 2 minutes. I will still, I'll reset the meeting again. All right. Now, this is school, this is the name of the schools. You don't put them the names. You just put school A, school B, and school C. But yourself, you know the schools that you went to. But when you come here in your project, you don't need to say that I went to this school, to this school. No, you number them, you name them as school A, school B, school C. So I worked with Form 2s and Form 4s. So I went to school A and I got the total population of Form 2s, 146, and then Form 4s, 87. So the 30% of this one is 44, and then 30% of 87 is 26, no? And then these were the number of the sample of the total population from Form 2s in school A. And then this is the total sample that I worked with of the total population of school A. Yeah, and then here repeats the same, and so here, and then we go to school C, and then we have here. So all the the total population is 665, and that is the total population now. Doesn't matter whether it's Form 2s and Form 4s, all of them, they give up to this number. So as you can see, we can't work with this number, it's too large. Yeah, and then I got the sample 30% from each school and the classes, and then I got 201, which was still okay, not so bad. And then this 201 is just students. And then here I decided I'm going to from each school I needed 5 teachers. 5 teachers. I have 4 teachers, and then I have 1 counselor. So these teachers that I worked with are those that support the counselors in their service of counseling students in school. So that's why I was given by actually the counselor these 4 teachers to fill the questionnaire. So for these ones, I gave them questionnaires. The same ones that I gave to students is the same one I gave to these ones here. And then for the counselors, I did interview. And then the interview, the same questions that were asked to students and then teachers are the same ones that I used to interview the teachers. So that makes you to remember the word triangulation that I spoke of some time back. So I used students, which Peter was telling us, triangle has part A, B, C. So students part A, these teachers here part B, and the counselors part C. So it gave me we are going to see in chapter 4 in the next chapter, how do they relate the information? How do they agree? So we are going to see it. It's going to be useful. And then all this 144 plus 26 plus 4 plus 1 gives the total number of 75, which is the total sample size. So all these ones here gives me this number. And then at the end, this is the number that I worked with. As you can see here is the number of teachers, 4, 4, 4, 4, 12. And then the counselors, 3, 3, 3. And then here I have the total of this sample here, and then which is 216. Any question here?
Is it possible to assume the numbers of the population?
Yeah, that's why we said, yeah, I mentioned the previous class. It is actually, okay, I don't know, it depends your supervisor. It depends. For example, my supervisor asked me to go to the field and get the sample size. But for other supervisors, they would simply assume, okay, if you're working with Form 2, you can just get 26 or 30, you just go there and then just give them the questionnaires. For 44 students or for 20 students here, 20 students there, it's up to you. But this one, I actually was asked by Mualim, my supervisor, and I went to the field and I collected the data regarding the sample size. Good. Any other questions so far?
I think we're okay.
So, all right. So, if you go down, we have research instruments, researcher use the questionnaires. Like, what are you going to use? Use the questionnaires for from 4 students and the teachers. And then the questionnaires comprised of both open-ended and also closed-ended questions. The research also used interviews to target the school counselors. You know, you just describe it. The research instruments, the instruments that you are going to use to collect your data. All right. Then we have the questionnaires for students. How is it? How is your questionnaire for students? You know, how is it like? So the sections, you know, you just describe it. And then we have for teachers, and then we have the personal interview. And then how are you going to validate your instruments? I think we spoke of it. Yeah, we did something on that, on how you're going to validate, and then how you are going to collect data. Here I mentioned that you need to collect, I collected a letter from permission from the university, and then that I took to the schools where I had to collect my data to, because they can't just assume that I'm from Marist. You know, I need to get permission from the university so that the university knows that I am the one going to collect that, and then I go to the field. And then I also explain on how you're going to analyze, you know, your information. Here there is a common method that is SPSS, which is a statistical package for social science. You know, you just describe it here, and then it is done. Right, I think others did also the same. You know, questionnaire for students, questionnaire for teachers, and the observation guide. For him, he did the observation guide also, is another instrument that he used. And then how he wanted to validate the instruments, you know, maybe giving to supervisor, to someone else to do corrections, you know. You need to and then the reliability of the instruments, just a history that you can actually read how to collect the data. He also mentioned here going to university, how is he going to analyze? He also mentioned it, SPSS, and then ethical consideration. Researchers require that, you know, should protect dignity, somehow not to publish the information that he would collect from the field. Then if you go to Ngulube, it's just more or less the same, you know. So we don't need really to focus much into that. So allow me to end the meeting for now. I'm going to open another meeting because it's giving me some seconds so to end this meeting. Sawa sawa. Just give me 2 minutes and then you log in, and then we are going to say the possible questions.